Welcome to Matinee Heroes CastOFF Game 4. It is the final game of the first round of the playoffs. We have had some nail-biters. Last week, Randy Yarborough finally came through with us to give almost a blowout. I don't want to say a true blowout, but he had it was definitely not a nail-biter like the first two. First two, Rob Irvin versus Patrick Beatty went into overtime. Then Valerie and Steve Condra came in, and Steve decided he was going to screw me with his internet, and so he won. He tried to win in overtime and did not. Valerie did that. And then last week, Randy came in and put the hammer down against Luke Hunsaker, 5-2. Now, there is still one person who has a perfect bracket. And tonight, we will just find out, because if he has this, if this is the game that'll be the linchpin for his entire bracket, because one of you is his winner.
Ooh.
Yes, ooh is right.
Ooh is right.
So I can hear myself in somebody's, but that's okay. Let's get on to tonight's. This is obviously CastOFF. This is a movie where we have two contestants duke it out by recasting your favorite actors in movies you love. So let's get on with the playoffs. That's right, we have playoff music for Game 4, the final game of the first round. In this corner, weighing an undisclosed amount because we don't want to talk about that, but he has been losing and losing and losing, Tracy Mangum. And in the other corner, in an undisclosed location, we have Bryan Guanajuato. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I can hear myself, but that's okay. Let's see. I'm trying to push you guys like there. You guys
coming
are.
From me, man.
No, that's all right. No problem. There's the two guys right there. We've got Utah versus Texas, and this is how it's looking out throughout the entire playoffs. We'll start with our first seeded player, Tracy. How you been, man? How's things going up there in the busy Beehive State?
Good. Little warm. We've although I'm sure Texas is worse.
Yeah, shut up is what Houston says.
Nah, it's fine. I love hearing people complain. It just makes me feel better about what I have, you know?
So what's been going on?
Anytime it hits 100. 100 degrees doesn't matter. It's hot no matter where you are.
Yeah, but it's not the heat; it's the humidity in Houston. Houston's got if you're already sweating, you can just walk out and you'll get more. It has nothing to do with what the temperature is. The sweat is already pre-packaged in the air. So what's been going on with movies that make us? Any big? Last time we spoke, you had a big stuntman from the Avengers come on. We thought it was Robert Downey Jr. Is Chris Evans coming on?
Oh, we wish. Hopefully one day. We're just doing our weekly show, doing it remotely because of COVID. We are possibly getting the director of the movie The Sandlot.
Oh,
and
great.
Possibly a cast member or two to come on the show.
Well, if you get Patrick Renna, let me know, because he's a good guy. I got to talk to him at Salt Lake, and he is a fantastic guy to talk to. Offstage, too. He's really a sweetheart. So let's move on to Bryan Guanajuato. I've been practicing your name. You know why? Because I keep on putting an N in it for no reason. And so I've been calling you Bryan.
It still sounds beautiful, though.
So Bryan, what you been up to? What's the Bryan Fry podcast been doing?
Same old stuff, man. Just talking about comics, movies, books, anything that either pisses me off or makes me happy. And here recently, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of independent comic book creators come on the show, talk about their books, talk about their Kickstarters. So it's been a lot of fun. You know, it's the only good thing to come out of COVID is, you know, a lot of people are at home and need something to do. So they come on my podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the whole reason CastOFF exists. Absolutely. It was a nice little way to figure out how to do video. So let's get on to the rules. The rules are fairly simple and consistent. I'm going to show you a character. You're going to name an actor. The best choice gets 1 point. If for some reason you get the secret selection, because I have also recast this entire movie, and I recast this movie 4 weeks ago. I recast all 4 movies at the same time to make sure there was no influence from anywhere. I already had it all set up before I started talking to people. The person with the most points wins, and I just want to let everybody know that I am not the only one being the judge. We had Brendan Agnew, who will be on in about 2 to 3 weeks with Escape from New York on the podcast, and Brendan Agnew is one of our favorite co-hosts that come on. He's really good living there in Norman, Oklahoma. Just found out he got a negative COVID test. So yay, Brendan.
Hey.
There was a scare and mission accomplished. Good job. And then, of course, Brendan Ushio, who Tracy and I know from Salt Lake. He has the Fandom podcast. And so what we did is I sent them blind. I didn't put anybody's names attached. I just put in who do you like better? And they voted. And whoever got 2 out of the 3 judges to pick them won the thing. So if you don't like the decision, it's not my fault. Or it's not solely my fault. Now, if there is a tie, we will do a double feature to win. And I will get to the tie-breaking feature as we get there. So, are you guys ready?
Sounds good.
So before we begin, I want to remind everybody that every episode of the CastOFF is brought to you by Matinee Heroes. And this weekend, Dallas Robinson, my buddy who I am doing the Dungeon Files podcast with, which is a D&D role-playing game that we've got 1 episode out and we've got more coming, but he is doing his favorite movie, Snowpiercer. So I guess crack open a beer, get one of your favorite babies, and chow down, because we're going to be doing the Snowpiercer. And you can head over to matineeheroes.com to subscribe. And if you like the show we're doing here, the CastOFF, you can head over to matineeheroes.com/castoff and subscribe to the YouTube channel there. As soon as we get 50 subscribers, then we'll have a custom URL. But now we're just living in the trashy area where nobody knows who we are yet. All right. So the movie, Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Fallout. And we're going to start off with Tracy. Tracy, you have the high seed, so you get to pick who you're going to pick for Ethan Hunt as Tom Cruise's named character. And this is him. He flies a plane. He flies helicopters. He does whether high altitude or low altitude drops, whatever the hell they're called, with the mask. He actually did like 50 or 60 of those. So who could you possibly find who to replace Tom Cruise?
You know, this was a tough one. I went back and forth a lot. I wanted somebody a little unconventional, but somebody who I feel like could pull off a believable spy. I wanted somebody who is charismatic, somebody who's good looking, someone who also has a lot of intelligence. I went ahead and selected Leonardo DiCaprio.
Someone has listened to our Inception podcast, because we just did that last week. And of course, what's he playing in Inception? Some kind of spy guy. He's great. That's perfect.
That's kind of where I was thinking.
So he's known for dating the supermodels, but he's obviously in one of the biggest movies of all time, Titanic. We covered The Quick and the Dead here on Matinee Heroes. And of course, he was just recently in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The guy is fantastic. And he fits the bill. Do you think he would do his own stunts?
I think so. I heard he did a lot of his own stunts for The Revenant. I don't know if he'd go as extreme as Tom Cruise does, but I think he'd be game.
Well, you know, wrestling a guy in a green suit with motion capture balls on you is a little different than actually fighting a bear. Tom Cruise would have had a real bear in there.
That's true.
Well, Brian, that's going to be a hard one to beat. Who do you have for Ethan Hunt?
So my pick, I went with the one, the only, the Craig favorite, Charlize Theron.
Now, this is a theme, yeah. Oh, you just do that when I put a picture of Charlize on anyways. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. She's amazing. She's almost perfect. My wife is perfect. Charlize Theron is almost perfect. If she was married to me, probably be perfect. But she was in she was in that fantastic Mad Max Fury Road, and then she's in that new one, The Old Guard. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I have. And that was actually part of the reason why I decided to pick her for this role, because I had just got finished watching that. And it made me just do a huge deep dive on all her movies and remembering like, oh, I've watched a lot of these action movies with her in it.
Absolutely. So. And the only problem is I don't want to see a mask on her face. That's what Mission Impossible is. Mission Impossible is the gadgets. It's like James Bond, but it's all masks, really. So
it would be a Tom Cruise mask that she takes off.
That's going to be difficult.
There you go.
Because she's a lot taller than Tom Cruise.
I was going to say, and then she grows like 4 feet.
Well, we've got Leonardo DiCaprio as Ethan Hunt, Charlize Theron. I went with a Jake Gyllenhaal type, and now I know you went with my favorite, Brian, but everybody else thought the same thing too. Everybody else did too.
Okay.
I just want you to know that I think that was the only unanimous vote of all of us of this whole one. This was a very close one where everybody was voting. It was 2-1 everywhere except this, because you'd have
That's a good one.
Let's just cut it off. Let's take it home, man. That's it.
We're gonna call it in case of rain. Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna call it because of rain. All right. Well, let's move on to the most expensive mustache in the movies right now. What is this? $200,000 mustache? Because Warner Brothers wanted to screw with people. We've got Henry Cavill, another just gorgeous person. So let's start with Bryan. Bryan, who have you decided is going to be August Walker, the bad guy?
The bad guy.
The bad guy, the bad woman, you mean? It's going to be no surprise. I decided to go gender bent with this movie cast, and I had to think what woman could pull off the arm cocking, and so I went with Mia Jovovich. Who's in a lot of crazy movies, mainly the Resident Evil series. And I mean, she's done high profile action stuff as well. And I think would be a good opposite to Charlize.
So what we're seeing here is a gender swap. We've gone with, is this a pattern that we're seeing? Is that it's a full on gender swap today?
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's got to be interesting for me.
It does. And I think she'd be good. I don't know if she's the big enough to cock her arms, but she could definitely kick people in the face.
She would look adorable with a mustache. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, then we really need to get young Emma Watson. But anyways, now we move on to Tracy. Tracy, you're seeing his pattern. He has gone for a gender swap. Who have you gone for?
I do have a gender swap, but not on this pick. So I went a little bit retro on this one. I love the role that he played in Death Trap. He can play charming, he can play sinister, he can play deceiving. He's somebody that the audience would not believe would be the bad guy until it turns out that he is. And I like the idea of casting another Superman, so I picked Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, and I even found a mustache picture for you. Because Christopher Reeve is the one and true Superman. And you mentioned Death Trap, but he's also in The Remains of the Day, where we know this guy, he's a Juilliard-trained actor. This guy can act. And he's just amazing, but he's also going to be, 9'2". He's a massive man. Up against
Big
Tom.
guy.
Yo, he's huge. So we've got Mila Jovovich, Christopher Reeve. I was looking for an Idris Elba. Kind of like a Black Superman situation that he was in the Fast and the Furious. And we decided on Christopher Reeve because when you got him up for anything, he's amazing. And so with that, we now tie. Tracy's got one, Bryan's got one, and we move on to some of the, I guess you'd call them the minions, the ancillary characters. Here we have Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust. So we're going to start with you, Tracy. Who do you have playing the amazing Ilsa Faust? I think Rebecca Ferguson's fantastic in this.
Oh, and she's fantastic in Dr. Sleep.
That's right.
Stephen King.
That's right.
She plays a great villain in that. This one was a tough one to cast for me. I wanted somebody that would fit the role, that looked the part, not quite as big of a household name, but I think she's got a very diverse and interesting filmography. I went with Eva Green.
Now, she is great. For those who don't know who she is, she's usually in these historical period pieces, but she was in Casino Royale, which we did here on the podcast. Most people know her from Penny Dreadful. I didn't see The Golden Compass or Dumbo, the new one, but having seen what she can do in Penny Dreadful and in Casino Royale, except for the fact she did not do any of her stunts in Casino Royale. That's the only problem. She almost took it, just going down the stairs, she did not do the stunts in Casino Royale.
Really?
Yes, I was reading about it because I'm trying to figure out who she was. And I'm like, oh yeah. So she may not be the most coordinated, but she'd be good for close-ups. I definitely will give you that one. So Bryan, we've got a little gender swap. What handsome man besides yourself, obviously, are you going to cast as Ilsa Faust?
So I decided on this one to go with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's not only strong looking, but also sweet looking at the same time. Someone that you might want to fight with, but also cuddle with. And every time I see him, I just see that little boy from Angels in the Outfield, you know?
Yeah, that's why I had him as the young, handsome second guy, because I know he's supposed to be a leading man. And we talked about this in The Dark Knight Rises. He's not there yet. He always looks like he's the good buddy, but he's good looking. He's great in Looper when he does his Bruce Willis impression. Once again, another person watched Inception this weekend, so that's great. If you haven't listened to the podcast, go back. It's the latest one out. But yeah, he can do all kinds of stuff. He's a really good actor. I really like.
And also, he does a really cool like YouTube series. You know, like he does a lot of just cool stuff. That's why I like him.
Well, we've got Eva Green, JGL, as he's known for short. Now, I didn't know this, but Haley Atwell is going to be in the Mission Impossible 7. I had cast this already, and then as I was looking for Eva Green, I found out that Haley Atwell is already going to be in the Mission Impossible, which is perfect casting. But the consensus was Eva Green. So Tracy takes the lead with 2 points. Well, now we get to Simon Pegg as Benji Dunn, and Benji is Benji's one of my favorite guys, but you know, this is his real breakout role where he's not just some goofy funny guy. He'll bring his little jokes in on occasion, but he's not overplaying it. So, Bryan, who do you have playing Benji?
So I went with an actress who has also been in Star Trek stuff, Samira Wiley.
Well,
I mean,
that's not the same person, but that's okay.
It is, isn't it?
No, I knew that's what you wanted, but when I went to go look it up, that is not Samira Wiley. Samira Wiley is from Orange. I would have to look it up, and we'd have to stop the podcast. But
well, we're gonna stop it because now I'm ashamed.
But this is not she is not the one from Discovery. She is.
Damn, I thought who that was.
That's okay. This could cost you a big deal. This is going to be. So it's got Orange is the New Black. She's in The Handmaid's Tale. She was in Detroit, so we know she can act. All these things. Brief cameo in The Sitter, but no, she is not the captain or the. Is she the captain or the first mate in Discovery? Star Trek Discovery.
I don't even know.
See, you didn't even have the right actress. I think this is the first where someone has actually picked someone they didn't mean to.
No, I did. No, so I did mean her because I knew she was in Orange is the New Black and Handmaid's Tale, both shows that I watch like religiously. But for some reason I thought she was in Discovery, and I thought that would be like the little like like her connection to Simon Pegg. I was like, perfect pick.
Well, while I figure out what you're looking for, the name is Tracy. Who do you have for your Benji Dunn?
So this is an actor, not the most well-known, but he did an excellent job in voicing the older Peter Parker in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Loved him on New Girl. I went with Jake Johnson.
Now, Jake is good. He's funny. Of course, he is known for tending bar in almost everything he does. I think Jurassic World was the one time he's on screen, not behind a bar, because he is a bartender in The New Girl. He is a bartender on his new show, Stumptown. He was Tom Cruise's buddy in The Mummy, the new version. So I think Jake's great. So, Bryan, since I looked it up for you, the person you wanted was Sonequa Martin Green. So we'll see if
I'm ashamed of myself right now.
We'll see if that makes a difference.
I give up. I quit. I concede everything.
I'm out.
So we got Samira Wiley or Sonequa Martin Green.
That's right. I get 2 picks.
You get 2 picks. Okay.
I need it.
We got the always funny and always affable Jake Johnson. I was looking for Riz Ahmed. If you don't know who he is, he was in Rogue One. He is the guy who goes crazy because the stupid psychic monster makes him goofy. And then he was in a bunch. He also plays a bad guy in Venom. I think he's the bad guy in Venom. He's the.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, Venom's not the bad guy?
Venom is not the bad guy in Venom. So, and you know what? Despite the screw up, we still went with Samira Wiley.
Because you knew I meant well, okay? You knew I meant well.
Well, I don't know what the other two judges thought. I went on pure. I think he means this person, but she is still good in Orange is the New Black. I watched that entire series, so I know she's good in that. I saw Detroit. So I know
exactly. And like spoilers, her death scene in Orange is the New Black like kills me every time I watch it.
Well, now you just pissed off everybody. So thanks a lot. So here's the thing. We're tied, and we're down to the home stretch here. So it is getting neck and neck with this. So even in spite of yourself, Bryan, you're doing well.
I'm just failing up, guys. Failing up. This is how it works, guys.
Well, now, let's see. Here we go. We're going to move on to. This is why, again, every week there's always one moment where I'm just get caught up and I can't get to it. Now we get to Ving Rhames' unnecessary Luther Stickle. I mean, did we actually see him not in a chair? I think every time we saw him, we never saw him waist down. We never saw him moving. I love Ving Rhames, but I think he has outgrown literally the part. So, but you know, Tom Cruise is loyal. He does a great job in this, like in this scene that we're seeing right now, where he's discussing disarming the bomb with Tom Cruise's ex-wife or whatever. Very good. He's very good in the acting scenes. He's just not very good in the action scenes. So, Tracy, who do you have playing Luther Stickle?
So I wanted somebody who would be a menacing physical presence. I wanted somebody that would be intimidating, but somebody who can also have a little bit of the humor and charm that Luther requires, like you said, in some of those other scenes that aren't the action scenes. I went with Dave Bautista.
Now, I even looked up a picture with him in a stupid hat, because that's all I know from Luther. He always wears those little pork pie hats. So he's big and talented, which is rare. You're either going to get one or the other. But he's been impressing me over and over again. We all love him in Guardians of the Galaxy. But then in Blade Runner,
Runner was fantastic.
He upped the ante. And have you seen Hotel Artemis?
I haven't.
He's really good in that with Jodie Foster. And then, of course, I just saw him because I normally wouldn't have watched this movie, but with COVID quarantine, you're pretty much watching anything you can find. We watched Stuber, and he was good in that.
It's not bad.
Even the spy movie with the kid we saw, he was good in that too. So I obviously not good enough for me to remember the name, but he was good in that. So Bryan, now we're gonna go gender bending again. Who do you have playing?
I stay gender bend, man. I stay gender bend, but like I went with someone like you're talking about like strength and stuff like that. I went with someone who had the style or like could fit that style of Luther. Someone who I think probably wore the same outfits on the Cosby Show. I went with Lisa Bonet or Bonnet, whatever.
Bonet,
I say
yeah,
Bonet.
you got it, Lisa Bonet.
But you know, my American has to come out too. But I just dig her style, man. Luther has some pretty sweet hats. I think that she could pull off. I think she looks intimidating, like fierce, but could be funny, man. She was one of my favorite characters on the Cosby Show.
And she's Jason Momoa's mother-in-law. So,
and that's terrifying.
I know, it is terrifying. That is a little scary. But yeah. So let's go take a look at this. We've got Dave Bautista from Tracy. We've got Lisa Bonet from Bryan. Are you sure you want Lisa Bonet and not Raven Simone?
I will hurt you. I will hurt you.
Just double checking before I get a. Well, I also picked
will that
Dave
give me the
Bautista.
win?
No, unfortunately, winner chicken dinner. Tracy gets an extra point for getting Dave Bautista because I also picked Dave Bautista. But then also the Triad picked Dave Bautista, so you got 2 points in that. So you have taken a commanding lead, 4-2. But with 2 categories left, there's still a potential 4 points on the lead. So you do not have this wrapped up yet, Tracy.
Nope.
Don't get cocky.
Away.
Well, now we get to Erica Sloane, who now this is going to be. She's just amazing in this. I forgot her name now.
Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett, because the person I was about to say the names that I have in front of me. So Angela Bassett's amazing in everything she does. She's really got that kick-ass, I don't give a F about anything personality. So, Bryan, gender bending kind of is what they already did anyways. So who do you have for Eric Sloane, I guess?
Yeah, I wanted someone who looked kind of had that same look of just like, I will kill you. And I went with Denzel Washington on this one. Great actor. He can be really intimidating, really motivational. Like, I mean, he's my favorite coach, man. He coached the best football team in the world. So, like, you can't say no.
Absolutely.
That's a good pick.
Yep. Because he was in Fences, which he directed and was great in. And then these other three movies we actually covered on the show. So we did Training Day, The Equalizer, and Remember the Titans. He was a great... And, of course, he said King Kong ain't got nothing on him, so he's been evading King Kong's investigation for quite a while. He's been on the lam. Tracy, that one's going to be tough. That is a real tough one because Denzel Washington is the king. So who do you have playing Erica Sloane?
That's a heck of a pick, Bryan. I'm impressed. I went with somebody who, in my mind, is kind of like just a tier below Angela Bassett. I absolutely love Angela, especially in this role. But I wanted somebody who could be commanding, somebody who could be intimidating, and was one of the few bright spots in Suicide Squad. I went with Viola Davis.
Pretty much playing the exact same role, isn't she?
Pretty much.
Except the one's in D.C. Now, she was also in Fences. And then I was traumatized by Widows, mostly because of Liam Neeson and her kissing. It was just shocking how it's like I was watching Bob's Burgers the other night, and Tina was dating this guy who had never kissed a girl, and he pretty much tried to inhale her face, and that's what Liam Neeson did throughout that entire movie. So the fact that Viola Davis was able to survive that, she can do anything. So we've got Denzel Washington, Viola Davis. I also picked Viola Davis, which gives Tracy a point, but just to rub it in, everybody picked Viola Davis.
Because it was an easy pick, and you guys don't have any imagination.
That's true. Unfortunately, Bryan, just because of that comment, you have been mathematically eliminated. So Tracy, winner, chicken dinner twice. This is the first time it's happened twice. You are the winner. What is your final thought?
Final thought. I got to get my gender bender out. I went with, instead of Alan Hunley.
Oh, no. We're done, man. You've won. We're not picking anymore. We're done. Save that for the post-game show.
No, I want to hear this. I got to hear what he said.
Save it for the post show. We're gonna do it in the post show. So what is your final thought?
Right, teaser.
You've just moved on to the playoffs. You're facing Randy Yarborough.
Taking on Randy. That's going to be a tough one. Randy's really good. Movies that make us. We talk about our favorite movies that mean a lot to us. This month, we're actually kicking off Sports Month. So each week we'll have a different sports movie.
Oh, and it's you guys. I was gonna say you guys don't do Saturdays. It's a 5-Saturday month. I know because I've got all kinds of August things coming up. So you picked a good one because there's no sports and there won't be. Baseball's gonna get shut down in about a week and a half.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Well, before we move on, this means that the semifinals have been cast, and we have a preview of next week. The semifinals: Patrick Beatty versus his former boss, Valerie Cameron, in the semifinals. And we have taken the semifinals up a notch. We have made it even more difficult because we're not just doing movies. We're going to be doing the Muppet movie.
Oh!
And what they have to do is they're going to have to recast the Muppets in human form. So when they do Kermit, they're going to have to not only pick an actor who can be Kermit, but has the personality of Kermit, not the voice, the physical traits of Kermit, the physical traits of Miss Piggy with the personality. So we're going to kick it up a notch. The entire semifinals are going to be either puppets or animation. There will be no easy swapping. There will be not a Viola Davis for an Angela Bassett, Bryan. So no one's going to get out of this alive. But if you like the show, You can go to Twitter, Matinee Heroes. You can watch us on twitch.tv at Matinee Heroes /Matinee Heroes, the facebook.com groups /Matinee Heroes. And of course, once we get the YouTube URL, we'll have it up there. But right now you go to matineeheroes.com /castoff and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel from that. Guys, I really appreciate it. We're going to do an after show so we can talk about this a little bit. But Bryan, you did a fantastic job, even though you were in the undisclosed location in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for being on the show twice.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I just, I'm sorry to all my friends out there for ruining everything. And just forgetting actresses' names and faces and just bringing shame upon my podcast.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the person with the perfect bracket had you winning the whole thing. So he is now, you've destroyed a bracket as well. I hope you can sleep tonight.
I feel like I won a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I did something.
That's fantastic. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. Tracy, we will see you in 2 weeks on August 11th against Randy Yarborough. But next week, we have Patrick Beatty, Valerie Cameron, The Muppet Movie. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next week.